Hello and welcome to Rule of Three's video review for Neverwinter Nights Online, a MMO from Cryptic and Perfect World. With me are Impressions. How you doing?
Doing all right. Glad to be back.
Great. And Synyster Dreamer. How you doing?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Doing great. Okay, so we're gonna just jump right into this thing. So Neverwinter is obviously based off of Neverwinter Nights for the PC and Dungeons and Dragons. It's set in that same universe, and the story is there's a legion of undead that's pretty much besieging the city of Neverwinter, and you're recruited as a hero to stop that from happening and to protect the city and all that good stuff. At least early game. I'm only level 28 is my highest, so I can't say much late game story, but that's the storyline as far it is right now. In terms of story, general MMO story. It's kind of weak to some extent, but hey, at least they got voiceovers for the quests. I did like that. So, it's your typical MMO story. I don't think it's, groundbreaking like, I think Tor and Secret World were, but it's decent. Sinister.
It's um basically the storyline is just they kind of put in there just to kind of get people to go from point A to point B to C, D, and E and all the way down. Because being at the D&D standards, there's really no linear actual story for everything. It's just okay. Here's go do this mission, and earn your gold and earn your keep.
Yep. Impressions?
Yeah, like what Sinister said, with D&D being a very open-ended format, the game, to function, for lack of a better word, pretty much uh, the story was to provide structure, and like linear is a good word for it. So, in order to establish that, they had to come up with something. And I'm not too familiar with the D&D storyline, but I mean, pretty standard, like you said, for an MMO.
Alright, so now we're going to jump into gameplay, because MMOs are 95% gameplay. Anyway, first thing I want to talk about is character creation. In terms of character creation, you choose your class and race. At the moment, there are 5 classes and 7 races. Is that right? Or 6 races?
Let me go through them. Half elf, elf, halfling, dwarf, gnome, human, half orc,
There's
and
no
tiefling.
gnome. No gnome.
There's gnome.
That's halfling.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, so there's 6 or
Six,
7.
7. Okay. Anyway, that's not the point. You choose those combinations, and then you get to kind of uh, give them basic features. In terms of character creation, pretty standard stuff. Not a whole, it's not super deep, but it's a little bit deeper than certain other games out there.
What did you guys make?
I have 2. If you watch the live stream, I was playing my halfling thief, and then the other one I have is a tiefling great swordsman.
I have 4 characters right now. I have a halfling guardian fighter, a elf great weapons fighter, which is a two-hander, a tiefling control wizard, and a human cleric.
What did you play?
Just the human control wizard.
Okay.
Nice and simple.
Yeah, and since we're talking about classes, let's talk the class races. So each race has, special bonuses that you get for it. Each class has special gathering skills and other kind of abilities. Mainly how the shift key will work for dodging. In terms of the differences between them, I thought they were okay. I thought the Guardian Warrior and the Great Swordsman were fairly similar, just because they had a lot of things in common. But all the other ones I thought were pretty cool. I did like the variety that they had. Synyster.
Yeah, being the fact that they had 2 styles of fighter on the game, which kind of made me question why they chose that way, but at the same time, it was like, okay, I understand it. Because the fact that you have the great weapon fighter being the two-handed DPS, and then the guardian being the tank, but they were pretty much the same class, just the 2 different archetypes. But all the other classes actually really work out fairly well and kind of make the game a little bit different for each style.
Impressions? How was your class and race?
I mean,
Feel?
we're just talking about the differences between them, or
Well, just your general feel on how what you saw, what you liked, or what you didn't like about what you saw of them at character creation or playing.
I think it added a lot of variety. There were plenty of combinations to try. That way, you're not just stuck with the default formula when it comes to MMOs. We have like what tank, thief, mage, and no, what am I forgetting?
Yeah, the typical stuff that you get with a MMO is like, okay, here you go.
Yeah, you can be at least with this, you can mix it up. There are more combinations, and that way it seems a little more. If you, I'm trying to phrase this correctly. That way, it doesn't look like a cut and paste of too many characters. You're less likely to run into like a copy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more personalized, not very like, okay, well, this race can only do these or and this doing that. In Neverwinter you can actually choose, okay, hey, I want to be a human doing this, or I want to be a tiefling doing a cleric job.
Yeah. All right. So next, I want to go into combat. So combat-wise, at least for me, it felt like a mixture of Terra and the Secret World. It's more of an action game like Terra, but I felt that the way combat looked and felt was a little closer to Secret World. But I liked it. The key, like I said, we're getting the keybinds as well. The way the keyboard is set up and mouse for attacks and everything, and where they have things set up was very convenient, and I like that. It was all very easy to control, and I think the game played well. Synyster.
Yeah. Honestly, I really have no basis for comparing, but I really did enjoy just when I got into the game how it certain times it would seem slow, but then things would just pick up and like snowball, and things would go faster, and it just like you're done with the combat, and it's like, okay, and you move 2 steps, and guess what? You're into the next combat, and just keeps going and going. And it's like it really caught my attention, and the fact that how the layout for the feel of doing all your moves felt really comfortable.
No. Impressions?
I thought it was very dynamic. I was somewhat expecting a turn-based system, considering that's sort of how an actual tabletop D&D plays out. But at least I was able to move about, use my spells, etc. And it felt more involved than it would be for like a turn-based. So I think it was pretty fun. I like the gameplay.
All right. Next thing I want to go into is the talent system with the skills and talents. So every time you level up, you get a skill point, which you can put into certain attacks to boost like your basic attack or attacks you've unlocked. And then at level, I think it's starting at level 10, you get your talent points, and that works just like your general talent tree points. I liked how it worked. I thought that the skill points in general were kind of a nice little touch to where you can know it's not only you customize what feats and feats you get for those points, but you can customize what skills you want for the most part instead of just getting a skill. You unlock the skill if you want, and then you can buff it up with more points. So I like that system. Impressions?
Like the fact that it was you level the skill and not like instead of getting a buff and all around, where in some games if you level you get like +2 in each category. This one you can attribute the points to whoever you want. That way you can customize your character and in accordance to your style of play.
Yep. Synyster?
Sorry, what was the question?
Talents and feats and stuff.
Oh, yeah, talents and stuff. It pretty much felt like as if it was just a normal pen and paper style. It's just like, okay, after so many levels, you start getting things unlocked, and you're able to do more options, and it pretty much felt like a D&D game made into a computer.
I think that's what they were going for. So.
Okay, next thing I want to talk. Oh yeah, sorry. Anyway, so the next thing I want to talk about are skirmishes and dungeons. So there's 2 types of content, at least for leveling. I think there's raids later, but you have skirmishes, which are very short, kind of wave-based campaigns that you take 5 people and you just beat things up. Whereas dungeons are like 30-minute dives into these different dungeons and more exploration and kind of organizations needed a little bit more for those. I didn't get to do any of the dungeons, unfortunately, but at least the skirmish I did, that was pretty fun. It was really short, but, you know, it got me right into, you know, just threw everything at me, and it was done really quick, and I enjoyed that. I heard dungeons are pretty fun, but I can't say anything on that, so that's my take on it. Synyster.
Me playing skirmishes and dungeons, it's like skirmishes are really fun because if you don't have a lot of time, but you just want to get something in real quick to get a few points of exp and stuff and a little bit of gear and loot, it's quick little things that you can do wave after wave attacks. Dungeons are more like normal MMO where it's like it's going to be a while because you got multiple bosses and depending on how fast the party goes. And with dungeons being the fact that they base it around the triangle, tank, healer, and DPS, whereas skirmishes, they can throw whoever they have that's joined in. So you can have a full party of healers or a full party of tanks. It doesn't matter.
And impressions, you didn't get to any of that content, did you?
No, I didn't. I wouldn't. I don't have anything to say about it. So.
Yep. All right. So with that, we'll now move to crafting, which is something I didn't do. But from what maybe Synyster, you did some crafting, right?
Oh yeah, I do.
Can you explain crafting to me? Because from what I've gathered, from what I've seen, it was kind of complicated.
Actually, crafting's actually pretty simple. Once you unlock it, I believe it's like level 10. You start off with, you can choose, there's different types, there's leadership, and then there are all the actual crafting stuff. The crafting format is you choose this type you want to go, and your first thing is to hire an asset, which is your first, like, hireling for that set of craft skill. And then you just go from there, gathering items throughout your travels, from treasure chests, drops, wherever you find in the world, to then you get that stuff and use it for your craft, which your hireling will use to build you stuff like if you're platesmith, your shields, your heavy armor, your boots, pants, whatever. And it's pretty simple. It's just basically you choose what thing you want them to do, and if you have the resources, you can do it, and it'll be done in a certain amount of time. Or if you don't, you can't. If you can't do anything, well, you can't do anything until you get the resources. So it's pretty actually simple. It's just like, okay, click, do this, go.
Okay.
Done.
I did like the gathering system, how each class has, certain gathering nodes that only they can use unless you have a kit for that. That was kind of a nice touch. Especially it gives classes kind of more of a diverse, should I be this for this gathering skill? But you all get the same things. It just depends on what nodes you can pick at.
Yeah, it's a bit, the gathering nodes are what gives you resources for crafting and a little bit of money.
Yeah. All right. So I think, the last thing I want to talk about is the Foundry. The Foundry is basically a user-generated content thing. You can create your own quest lines and stuff. You just have to get to level 15 and then open it up and you start, you can make stuff and people can rate it and do other fun stuff. You get some stuff for if people like it. But in terms of the game, I thought this is probably one of the greatest things Neverwinter did. I love Foundry requests. Some of the user-generated stuff are way better than what the actual devs came up with.
So yeah, the Foundry, which in this game was actually brought over from Star Trek Online, which that's where they started the Foundry system of let's give people the chance to build stuff in this universe and see what they come up with. It's a big hit in Star Trek Online, and they're like, we'll bring it over, and it's again a big hit. It's because the fact that the D&D universe is so big and so wide that you can do whatever you possibly can think of with the resources you have and go from there.
Impressions?
Yeah, I thought it was very akin to what Little Big Planet did when it came to building levels and whatnot. And a lot of times, people really took what, they took all the materials that the developers made available and actually made a lot of different types of functioning games. And especially in the universe of D&D, where a lot of it depends on Dungeon Master or the creativity of the people playing, it felt like a really good way to honor that part of the the franchise, so to speak, especially now that it's transferred into a video game kind of setting.
All right. And then the last thing I want to kind of go into are, I know I said Foundry, but then I remember something else, is the dailies. Is each day you have like dailies you can do to get certain items, whether it be do a skirmish, do a dungeon, do a Foundry request, do crafting, do whatever. Doing those give you certain rewards, and you can tell which one's up and what the next two are for the next 2 hours. I thought it was a really nice way to do dailies in terms of, that way, you're probably going to be doing one of those things during those hours anyway. You get, bonus stuff for doing it. I thought it was a nice touch.
Yeah, yeah, it's a way for them to make people kind of active in the community, not just be like, well, here's an MMO and great, doing not. I'm just gonna sit here in the main hub and not do anything like World of Warcraft sitting in Orgrimmar.
Yeah, it keeps things fresh. That
Yeah,
way, it's not just that way you can expect something new every time you hop on.
yeah, because
Basically, how I saw it.
yeah, especially when with their like either 2 hour or certain limit time what they have going on, because like in this game you have in-game currency and then you have real money that you can use, but you can earn real money with in-game currency. It just takes a long time, but you can do it, and that's what they're trying to do is like, hey, do these activities, and guess what? You can buy that item on the Zen house that you want in in-game currency transferred, which that, if anything, I'll probably go over in my written review.
Yeah, I'm about to say I don't want to go into that aspect on the video review because it's a touchy subject for this one. I'll bring it up in my verdict in a little bit. So anyway, that's it. So here at Rule 3, we do not do a point system because points mean nothing to me. Instead, we do a buy, rent, pass system. However, this is a free-to-play MMO, so we're not even going to do a buy, rent, pass. This time, we're going to do a play
Player
or
pass.
don't pay. Yeah, play or pass. Play means, it's worth your time. It's a fun MMO. You can spend a couple of, it's worthy of putting some hours into. Pass means, ignore it. Go play some other MMO or other game. Synyster, we'll start off with you.
I give the game a play. I've been enjoying it, and the fact that just how this game is, and when it was in development and hearing about it, I'm really liking the game.
Cool. Synyster? Or not Synyster, impressions.
I also give it a play. As a fan of D&D and pretty much the opportunities and creativity that goes with that, I feel this very much captures the spirit of it all. Obviously, I mean, it's a little limited considering the format, but I do feel that it's I do feel it works pretty much. It's really fun to play.
I'll bring up the conversation that me and Baku had.
I don't know. I kind of lost my train of thought. But yeah, play the game. I really can't say anything else.
Yeah, I also say play. However, with tacking on kind of a warning on this, is if you plan to play this as your main, be careful as the in-game currency rate to real money cash shop is kind of ridiculous at this point.
It's in flux for the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
It'll settle out later.
Yeah, so right now it seems very pay to win. So with that in mind, be careful. However, the game is fun. It is very enjoyable. Like I said, I think Foundry is one of the greatest things ever. Having not played Star Trek, this is my first attempt, seeing it. I think it's amazing. It's great for filling in gaps in EXP. Like I said, the gameplay is great, and it's a fun. It's a fun MMO. I am really enjoying this one. So there you have it. You have 3 plays from the 3 of us. Thank you guys. So this should be coming out the exact same time that Deadly Premonition's going up. So next week we'll be doing our Metro Last Light review. Make sure to leave a comment below for entries into the Last of Us / Remember Me giveaway. Like us on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe above, all that stuff. Make sure to tell friends about us or gaming communities to get the word out there that we're here. We're giving the truth on these reviews, and we're people you can trust, which is why it's in our tagline. So anyway, thanks for listening, and always remember to trust in the rule of 3.
Barbarian.
You would totally be your Tengu in real life.
Oh yeah.
My wingman. And for those who don't know what a Tengu is, it's a humanoid bird. Just basically has